Welcome to Sunday School for our senior high students for Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's Bible basis is coming out of Ezekiel chapter 43, verses 13 through 21. The Bible truth, the altar, a sign of hope. The title of today's story, Yes. Do you know why you're here today? The counselor waited for Sharia to answer. But when she only shook her head, the counselor continued, Your mother told me you've been depressed. Do you want to tell me about that? Sharia shook her head again. That's understandable. So if you don't mind, I'll do the talking until you're able to find your voice again. Sharia looked at the counselor like she was crazy. She hadn't lost her voice. She just didn't want to talk. Nobody listened to her anyway, so she refused to waste her breath. I know what that look is about, the counselor said. You think I'm crazy, don't you? Sharia stayed silent. I know you do, so I have nothing to lose when I tell you what I think. I think the reason you're depressed is related to why you've lost your voice. You stop talking because people don't listen to you. You're frustrated and don't know how to verbalize what you feel, and silence has become your way of communication. The invisible pain that only you feel is more tangible when you don't say anything. It's something that everyone finally notices. Am I right? Sharia didn't even know she was crying until the counselor offered her a box of tissues. I want you to think about this place, this office, as your own special place. This is the one place where you can come to be heard. And if you stick with me, I'll give you step-by-step instructions to help you live the life you're destined to live. Is that a deal? For the first time, Sharia allowed the counselor to hear her voice. Yes. Ezekiel 43, verses 13 through 21. And these are the measures of the altar after the cubits. The cubit is a cubit and a hand breadth. Even the bottom shall be a cubit, and the breadth a cubit. And the border thereof, by the edge thereof, round about, shall be a span. And this shall be the higher place of the altar. And from the bottom upon the ground, even to the lower settle, shall he be 2 cubits, and the breadth 1 cubit. And from the lesser settle, even to the greater settle, shall be 4 cubits, and the breadth 1 cubit. So the altar shall be 4 cubits, and from the altar and upward shall be 4 horns, and the altar shall be 12 cubits long, 12 broad, square in the 4 squares thereof. And the settle shall be 14 cubits long, and 14 broad in the 4 squares thereof. And the border about it shall be half a cubit, and the bottom thereof shall be a cubit about. And his stairs shall look toward the east. And he said unto me, Son of man, thus saith the Lord God, These are the ordinances of the altar in the day when they shall make it, to offer burnt offerings thereon, and to sprinkle blood thereon. And thou shalt give to the priests, the Levites, that be of the seed of Zadok, which approach unto me to minister unto me, saith the Lord God, a young bullock for a sin offering. And thou shalt take of the blood thereof, and put it on the 4 horns of it, and on the 4 corners of the saddle, and upon the border round about. Thus shalt thou cleanse and purge it. Thou shalt take the bullock also of the sin offering, and he shall burn it in the appointed place of the house without the sanctuary. When it comes to the construction of a building, priority is given to its foundation, except in our text. In Ezekiel 43, verses 13 through 21, before the Lord talked about any other part of the temple, he gave specific instructions for the building of its altar. The altar was and is an important part of making sacrifices of commitment. The Jews, after their return out of captivity, had an altar long before they had a temple. And that's Ezra chapter 3, verse 3. To this day, the altar symbolizes a place of atonement and forgiveness. We see this in the story today called Yes, that Sharia has found a place where she can go to find direction for making the most of her life. The questions from our story today. Number 1, where did Sharia's mother send her? Number 2, why didn't Sharia want to talk? Number 3, what did Sharia think about the woman? Number 4, at the end, what did Sharia do to show she was ready to change? The questions from our lesson text today. Number 1, how many horns will the altar hearth have? I'm going to repeat that question. How many horns will the altar hearth have? Number 2, what shape will the altar be? Number 3, what animal would be used as a sin offering? Number 4, where would blood be sprinkled to purify the altar? It is important to know the purpose of altars and to use them. This week as a class, visit your church's altar and pray together. Your teacher can give each student a prayer assignment or have you take turns praying from your hearts, or all pray the Lord's Prayer together. Our memory verse. And when these days are expired, it shall be that upon the 8th day, and so forth, the priest shall make your burnt offerings upon the altar, and your peace offerings, and I will accept you, saith the Lord God. And that's Ezekiel 43, verse 27. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.